In the ash-gray ruins of Viral Prime, once a bustling border colony of the Serati Empire, silence had become the new music of morning. Craters dotted the earth like old scars. The sky hung low and choked with smoke, and the thick tang of melted stone and scorched plasma hovered in the air. What remained of the colony's survivors huddled together in makeshift shelters, waiting for relief or death. Sergeant David Rourke of the Earth Defense Force had seen too many battlefields to count. But this one hurt. He wasn't supposed to be here. Earth was neutral in the Sarathi-Draken War. But David had been assigned to the Humanitarian Corps, tasked with rescuing civilians in war zones no one else dared enter. His drop shuttle had taken fire on descent. 3 of his men were dead, another was missing, and he'd barely managed to drag the relief crate behind a half-collapsed building where survivors whispered and shivered in the shadows. That was when he heard her, "Baby," wailing. Again and again, sharp and desperate. The cry was hoarse but stubborn, the sound of a tiny life refusing to let go. David pushed past a broken archway, stepping over glass and rubble, and into what had once been a municipal daycare center. The room was dark except for shafts of red morning light breaking through holes in the ceiling. And there she was, an alien woman sitting in the corner, cradling her infant. She had light cerulean skin and hair like copper filaments, braided hastily over one shoulder. Her robes were stained with soot and dried blood. Her golden eyes locked on David's, and despite the trembling in her arms, she did not flinch. The baby wailed again, shrill and inconsolable. David raised both hands. "I'm not your enemy." She blinked once, slowly, like someone trying to decide whether to hope or fear. Then she hissed something in Sarathi. His translator chip chirped but failed, probably damaged in the drop. "Name's Rourke," he said softly. "Human. Soldier. I'm here to help." The woman responded, still in Sarathi, her voice cracking. She pointed toward her baby, then toward the supplies in David's crate. It didn't take a linguist to get the message. He crouched and opened the crate carefully, pulling out a thermal blanket, medical scanner, and nutrient formula packs. He tossed one gently toward her, but the baby only screamed louder. The mother tried feeding her, then rocking her. Nothing worked. "She hasn't stopped," a gruff voice said from behind a shattered counter. David turned, gun raised, only to see an old Sarathi male, gaunt and coughing. "Since the bombing. Won't eat. Won't sleep. Her mother's exhausted. We thought she'd die today." David looked at the baby again. Her skin was flushed darker than it should have been for her kind. Her breathing too fast. "She's in shock," David muttered. Maybe she just needs to feel safe." He stepped closer. The mother tensed, shifting as if to shield her daughter. David hesitated. "May I?" he asked, hand hovering above the child. "Let me try." A long, tense silence stretched. Then the mother slowly nodded and, with hands shaking, offered the baby to him. David gently took the small bundle, his arms cradling her with practiced ease. He'd held his niece this way, back home in Montana. The trick was in the angle, head secure, heart close. The baby sobbed again once. Then stopped. David blinked. The little Sarathi infant stared up at him, her eyes luminous and wide, her tiny fingers curling around the edge of his armored glove. Her chest slowed. Her breathing steadied. A soft coo escaped her lips, and then, unbelievably, a smile. "She," the mother whispered in broken Terran. "She sleeps." "Yeah," David murmured. "She's asleep." Around them the room went still. The old man sank to the floor. Someone in the corner wept softly. The baby's silence, peaceful silence, was like a miracle. The mother leaned forward. "You are strange. Warm like sun." "I'm human," David said. We do that sometimes." She looked at him, then really looked. "I am Clyra. Her name is Saya." He nodded, adjusting the child slightly. "She's beautiful." In the days that followed, David stayed. His mission had been to deliver supplies and extract back to the nearest orbiting vessel. But when he'd called for pickup, Command's answer had been curt. "No air access. Hostiles in orbit. Proceed with local aid until extraction." So he did. David taught the survivors how to ration and heat the protein packs, how to purify water from the broken aqueduct. He patched wounds with gauze and biofoam, helped dig out those still trapped beneath rubble. And every night, Clyra brought him Saya. The child would only sleep when David held her, as though his heartbeat calmed some ancient fear. Clyra watched every time. Sometimes she asked questions about Earth, about humanity, about how David knew how to hold a child. "My sister's kid," he said once. "I used to babysit when I was off duty. Never thought I'd use it on an alien baby in a war zone." Clyra smiled, small, tired, but real. "Perhaps your sister knew," she replied. One night, she brought a rough wooden pendant, carved in the Sarati way, and pressed it into his hand. "For protection," she said. He didn't wear jewelry, but he looped it onto a strap of his armor. Saya gurgled happily in his arms. The piece shattered 3 days later. An orbital shell slammed into the next district. Dust surged into the sky, blacking out the sun. Panic returned like a flood. The Draken were back, scouring the surface for survivors and tech. David barked orders, rushing everyone into underground maintenance tunnels. Clyra clutched Saya tight, running beside him. Blaster fire cracked in the distance. Explosions. Screams. In the chaos, David held the line, his rifle spitting fire into the night. He bought the others time, covering the entrance to the shelter. But just before the doors sealed, he was pulled inside by a dozen hands. The tunnel was damp and cold, but safe for now. David slumped against the wall, blood on his lip, armor scorched. His vision spun. Then a small weight pressed against him. It was Saya. She curled on his chest, her cheek resting against his armor. Despite the distant echoes of war above, she closed her eyes and drifted off to sleep. Clyra knelt beside him, tears streaking down her face. "You came to help," she whispered. "You stayed when you could have left." David managed a tired smile. "I figured someone had to." Clyra touched his face gently. "You are not just soldier. You are father now, to more than just one." He didn't answer, just closed his eyes and rested, Saya warm in his arms. 2 weeks passed before the Earth fleet broke the blockade. Dropships descended in force, driving the Draken away. Relief teams swarmed the ruins. When they found David, he was helping deliver a newborn. Yes, a Sarati newborn, assisted by a makeshift team of elders and human medics. The commanding officer stared. "You're supposed to be dead." David stood slowly, brushing dirt off his uniform. "Not today." Saya toddled up behind him, hugging his leg. Clyra followed, her robes now clean, her posture strong. "I assume we're going home?" David asked. His CO looked at the gathered Sarati. "Them too." David's voice was firm. "They are home. We just helped them survive it." The officer sighed. "You'll need to file 100 reports." David looked down at Saya. She smiled up at him. "Worth it," he said. Epilogue.